All right, so if you've spent any time with relational databases, you know how powerful they are. But you've also probably hit that wall, right? The one where you're trying to run certain kinds of queries and it just gets painful. Well, today we're going to build a little bridge from that familiar world of SQL over to a really cool concept in graph analytics. It's something that can unlock some, honestly, incredible insights about your data. Let's just dive right in. So let's start with a question that I think gets right to the heart of the problem. Why is finding friends of friends of friends so ridiculously hard in SQL? I mean, you know the drill. It turns into this absolute nightmare of self-joins. The queries get slower and slower, more and more complex, and honestly, they just feel clunky for what you're trying to do. It's a classic pain point. And you know, this difference in focus is absolutely key. Relational databases, they think in tables, rows, and columns. They're fantastic for storing data about things, about entities. But graph structures, they're built from the ground up for something totally different. They're purpose-built to analyze the connections between things. And that's exactly why going deep into those relationships, the very thing that's so awkward in SQL, suddenly becomes super fast and just natural in a graph. Okay, so to get our heads around how we can analyze all these connections, we don't have to start with anything super complex. Actually, we can start with the simplest possible shape you can imagine that shows a complete, totally closed relationship. Let's define what we mean by a triangle when we're talking about graphs. And really, it's pretty much what it sounds like. A triangle is just a set of three nodes, or vertices, where every single one is directly connected to the other two. So if you've got A, B, and C, it means A is connected to B is connected to C, and this is the important part, C is connected back to A. It's this perfect, closed loop of mutual connection. So you might be thinking, oh, so it's just like three friends who all know each other? And yeah, that's exactly it. If Anne is friends with Bill and Bill is friends with Charles, that's not a triangle yet. The triangle only snaps into place if Anne is also friends with Charles. That simple, complete social circle, that's the fundamental building block we're looking for. Okay, so we've got this simple shape, a little triangle. Big deal, right? Well, here's where it gets really powerful. The magic happens when we start counting them across the entire network. Believe it or not, that one single number can tell us a surprising amount about the whole system. Yeah, the total number of triangles in a graph isn't just a number. It's a direct measure of its clickiness or its overall connectedness. Think about it. A graph that's just jam-packed with triangles, that points to a community where everyone is really tightly knit and interconnected. But a graph with hardly any triangles, that suggests a much more sparse, spread out, maybe less cohesive group. And this is where it gets really useful, because now we can take a fuzzy idea like connectedness and nail it down with a hard number. I mean, look at this chart. We can say without a doubt that graph B is way more clicky than graph A. It has 150 triangles compared to just 25. That lets us do some really cool stuff, like comparing different communities, or even tracking how a single community evolves over time. Okay, this is all great in theory, but what does this actually look like in the wild? Let's talk about how counting triangles can solve some actual real-world problems. And the applications are honestly pretty diverse. The most obvious one, of course, is identifying social circles and cliques. But it goes way beyond that. Think about recommender systems. If you and I both like the same two movies, a system might recommend a third movie that I liked, basically completing the triangle between us. It's even used to tell spam apart from legitimate activity, because real social networks tend to have a much higher density of these trusted, interconnected triangles. So it's really easy to fall into the trap of thinking more triangles is always better, that we're always on the hunt for those super connected groups. But what if I told you that a lack of triangles could be just as important, maybe even more so? And this is the really cool counterintuitive twist. Sometimes the most valuable people in a network aren't the ones buried in the middle of a dense clique. The absence of triangles around a person can be a massive signal, pointing us to some really unique and important roles within the graph. Here's a perfect example, the helpful loner. Picture an online support forum. Who are the most helpful users? It's the people answering tons of different questions from tons of different people. They have all these connections, but the people they're helping don't know each other. So what's the result? These super valuable experts have a very, very low triangle count. See, a high count finds you a clique, but a low count, that can find you an expert. All right, let's wrap this up. How do we put all this together? Let's break it down into a simple, actionable framework that you can use for your own data. It's a really straightforward process.
First, you've got to model your system as a graph. Stop thinking in rows and start thinking in nodes and edges. Second, run the triangle count algorithm to get that raw connectedness score. Third, you interpret that score. Is it high? That might be a clique. Is it low? That could be one of those helpful loners we talked about. And finally, you use that context to uncover the hidden gems, the hidden communities, or the key individuals that you never would have seen otherwise.
And that's really the heart of it. By using a concept as simple as counting triangles, you can start asking completely new questions about your data. Who are the real influencers? Where are the tight-knit groups hiding? Who are the critical connectors holding things together? Which really just leaves one final thought for you to chew on. What hidden communities are just waiting to be discovered inside your data? Hey, I really hope you found that useful. If this explainer sparked some ideas for you, do me a favor and share it with a colleague or a friend who you think might get something out of it. And of course, make sure you're subscribed for more deep dives just like this one. Thanks so much for tuning in.